So moving right along with paint, we're starting the camouflage here. Now I've never seen this method done before, so something I just kind of made up the other day, and I think it'll work. We'll see. I covered the entire blaster, all the stuff I plan to paint, with brown and green for the camouflage, with painter's tape. And then you can see I drew on it with Sharpie, which doesn't bleed through this painter's tape, the areas I want to have as camouflaged, or used with camouflage splotches. And then I took a nail and a box cutter, which admittedly isn't particularly easy, but it's working, and traced that line. And then that, I'm hoping, will rip right up, and then I'll be able to spray the whole thing without having to worry about moving stencils around. And also it allows me to get over awkward edges. Now, to make sure this didn't just look goofy, I lined up the two halves. I just put the two halves of the blaster together and tried to make sure my lines started and stopped in the same place. Same thing with the rest of the parts that are going to be camouflaged. And that ought to look really nice when it's done. And to show you what I'm talking about exactly, here you can see I've cut away this piece around the edges. Here. Just peeling it away. And it'll start to look something like that. Hey everyone, the green portion of the camouflage is done. I just took all of that masking tape that was covering most of the blaster and all of its parts off. As you can see, the lines aren't absolutely perfect, but I don't mind that. I think it looks good, especially since I just kind of came up with the technique on the fly. Now I need to get to the brown. Something I'm very happy with is the way that I've gotten the two halves to line up. The paint splotches look excellent, and they meet more or less where they're supposed to on all of the blaster halves. Here's the barrel extension. Very happy with how all of this turned out. Hey guys, so it's the end of another busy day on this project, and I'm proud to say I am very close to finishing painting. Now, here you can see the main shell is completed. I have applied the brown, and it turned out very well. I'll show you both sides. I think it looks very nice. You can see I pulled all the tape off, including the tape that was on the handle. Now, the entire blaster has a thick base coat of black camouflage from Rust-Oleum as well as beige, and then I started doing the camouflage splotches. And from the very beginning, after I put on the black base coat, I taped off this handle, and I'm very happy with that. Texture's a little rough, but I'm gonna do a flat clear coat later, so I think that'll turn out just fine. I'll also point out on the scope here, you can't see it through the tape obviously, but there are 3 knobs. Supposed to be zeroing knobs, as if this was an actual scope. I taped those off as well, so those will be black when all is said and done. Now, the way I did the brown splotches here, I used a different method than originally, or so it would seem. I made stencils out of construction paper for the various splotches, and then I taped them on and covered the rest with painter's tape. Now, it looks very similar to the method I used to do the green splotches, but it's not quite. It's a little easier to do. I don't damage the paint that's already gone on by cutting away the tape the way I did when I did the green. There's a few spots where you can see knife marks through the paint, and it just in general, it went a lot faster. It's not quite as clean. You'll notice a little bit of spray here that snuck in under the edge of the paper, but I'm fine with that. I think it still looks absolutely wonderful, and I'm incredibly pleased with this. Although camouflage, I will say, is very long and intensive process. Now, something I want to point out, this whole time I've been using one of these spray handles. You just clip it on, you can grab it with both fingers and spray, and normally when I spray, my right hand, for a good day or two, just my hand, my forearm hurts, it's sore. It's just not worth it. This was $2.50 at the hardware store. I don't know exactly what brand it was, but it's amazing. It's totally changed the way I do spray paint, and if I ever have a choice about it from now on, I'm going to be using one of these handles. Now, this paint job isn't quite finished. Here I've got Kryolan Crystal Clear Satin Clear Coat. Now, I tried this on the bipod segments. It turned out far too shiny. I will be using it on the parts I painted orange, but I'll get to that in a minute. I just picked up some Kryolan matte finish today. So tomorrow, this whole thing is going to get a clear coat of matte finish, and that ought to protect it and keep the paint together for a nice long time. Now, these are some of the orange bits that I did. This is the jam door. These are the pieces that go into this slot right here on the tactical light. They were originally handles that slid the original pitiful red LED forward and back. This is just going to be an orange accent piece now. And this is the lock for the top tactical rail. It goes right into that little slot. And I just painted those up so this will have some more orange accenting. And as you can see, it's actually a pretty decent match to the orange that Nerf uses. And this clip is actually a little bright. So when all is said and done, this will still have a very camouflage look, but it'll be painted. It'll have bits of orange here and there that make it very obvious it's a toy.